Om Sahanavavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahe Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. We are reading from the book Meditation and Spiritual Life by Swami Yatiswarananda. We are in the middle of chapter 23, Mystic Worship. Next section, worship through symbols. For those who find this process also difficult, pratikopasana or worship with the help of some appropriate symbol is prescribed. The deity is worshipped not as the symbol, but through the symbol. The aim is to recognize in the limited symbol the presence of the all-pervading spirit which transcends all limitations of name and form. As Swami Vivekananda remarks, where Brahman himself is the object of worship, the pratika stands only as a substitute or a suggestion thereof. So this is from the complete works of Swami Vivekananda, published in 1964, volume 3, page 60. The pratika may be internal like the mind, the intellect or the soul of the worshipper, or it may be external like the sun, akasha, space, agni, fire, or a sound symbol like Om, etc. Through properly performed meditation, the same spirit is ultimately recognized as pervading and transcending both the internal and external planes of existence. Those who find even the above-mentioned symbols of worship to be too abstract or subtle should begin with the use of a pratima or an anthropomorphic image. But even here, it should be clearly understood that the idol should be worshipped as a symbol of Ishvara or the Supreme Spirit. As Swami Vivekananda says, if the image stands for a god or a saint, the worship does not lead to liberation. But if it stands for the one God, the worship thereof will bring bhakti, devotion, and mukti, liberation. This is again from the complete works of Swami Vivekananda, volume 3, page 61, published in 1964. In India, annual worship of Durga or Ganesha is done in a clay image. The festival is concluded by immersing the images in a river or a lake. Once Mathur, the son-in-law of Rani Rasmani, who built the great temple of Kali at Dakshineshwar, found it difficult to part with the image after the annual worship of Durga. His heart broke to think of the image, which he had worshipped with great devotion for several days, being thrown into the river. He gave orders that nobody should move the image and remained like a petulant child. His relations and officials ran to Sri Ramakrishna for help. Sri Ramakrishna came and asked Mathur, "Is the mother only in the image? Why don't you install her in your heart, her permanent abode, and throw away this clay image of hers?" When the thought that the Divine Mother dwells forever in his heart dawned on him, Mathur immediately became his normal self, and the immersion ceremonies went off all right. This is from Swami Sharananda, Sri Ramakrishna, the Great Master, published in 1970, pages 448 to 449. This simple incident reveals the spirit of Hindu worship of images. God is one, but his aspects are many. As it is impossible for us to worship him in all his fullness and glory, we take up some aspect or other of the Lord. But even in order to approach him through any of his personal aspects, as Shiva or Vishnu or the divine power, we need the help of different symbols, material, verbal, or mental, which may be taken up either singly or jointly. The symbol is not the reality. It is only a means of remembering the Lord through the association of ideas. The neophyte in spiritual life may take the help of material symbols in the form of an image of a deity or a yantra, a geometrical figure representing the ideal. As he advances, he may dispense with material help and make use of sound symbols to call up the divine idea. Advancing further, he may do away with both the material and the sound symbols and proceed with purely mental worship on the plane of thought, silently and quietly. And even this he can give up when, at the very thought of the divine, he is able to lose his little self, like a salt doll in the infinite ocean of existence, in which all distinctions between the worshipper and the worshipped disappear completely. Our vision is limited, and all that we see is colored by this limitation. What we see is not light as it is, but only a reflection, and that too also within a certain range. Our understanding is also circumscribed. We cannot realize the ultimate reality directly. What we know through the limiting adjuncts of our mind, through the medium of what Shankaracharya calls Kala, Desha and Nimitta, time, space and causation. Every perception is colored by the mind, its waves and images. In short, we are bound to the domain of symbols which point to the truth, but at the same time hide it. However, we must remember that there are symbols and symbols, the real ones and the false ones. The mirage has got the appearance of water, but it is a delusive phenomenon which has nothing to do with water, whereas the wave may be recognized as a true symbol of the ocean because it rises out of it, is in touch with it, and also gets merged in it. Like the ocean, it is made of the same substance, water. Further, there are lower and higher symbols. Letters of a word are the sound symbol of a name, which in turn is a symbol of the mental image. The image itself is a symbol of the thinking process, and even thought becomes a symbol of the reality which it tries to express, but can do so only in the above mentioned indirect way. Between the reality and its expression, a number of symbolic processes intervene. This deep mystery was understood in India long, long ago. That is why various kinds of symbolic worship have been tolerated and cultivated in India. The illumined souls cut through all intervening media and penetrated deep into the very essence of reality and have left behind them footprints for less qualified aspirants to follow their trail. In Hinduism, the domain of symbols and worship of divine personalities is a vast one, and therefore here we shall deal only with some of the symbols used and divine personalities adored in worship and meditation from the Vedic times down to present day, with a view to realizing God in some aspect or other. Next section, some Hindu religious symbols. Shiva is worshipped in an image or in the form of a linga, which whatever be its original significance, does not call up in the minds of the worshippers of Shiva any phallic association at all. To them, the linga is just a non or anthropomorphic, aniconic form or symbol of the Supreme Spirit, which, though manifest in forms, transcends them all. The tantric devotee takes the linga as a symbol of the divine male-female creative power. Shalagrama Shila is another non-anthropomorphic symbol associated with Vishnu, who is often worshipped in the four-handed image, holding conch, wheel, mace, and lotus, or in his divine incarnations as Rama, Krishna, etc. The followers of Tantra and even others sometimes worship the deity in the yantra or geometrical diagrams representing the mystical body of the divine being. Sometimes a pata or two-dimensional painting or picture, the quote icon unquote of the Greek church, serves as a symbol instead of the three-dimensional image in which the deity is invoked. And many types of mystical worship, a ghata, that is a pot, full of water is used either solely or in addition to other forms to represent the formless, all-pervading spirit. Agni or fire may also take the place of other forms. The lighted fire is regarded as the body of God and is worshipped by offering oblations into it. In refined types of worship, a mantra like Om or some divine name serves as the symbol. A mantra literally means a sound symbol which, when repeated and reflected on, frees the soul from bondage. Mananat trayate iti mantraha. Mananat trayate iti mantraha. As a sound symbol, Om represents the undifferentiated Akhanda Brahman. The other mantras or names represent the differentiated, that is Khanda, aspects of the same being. Different tantric divinities are assigned special bija, seed mantras, which are credited with the power to originate or evolve their corresponding divine forms or manifestations before the meditating devotee. The holy names are the sound manifestations of the divine power, which is awakened through japa or the repetition of the word and the meditation on its meaning. Says Sri Chaitanya, various are thy names, O Lord, and in each thou hast infused thy holy power. So this is from the Shikshashtakam, verse number 2. नाम नामकारी बहुधा निज सर्वशक्ति तत्रार्पित नाम नामकारी बहुधा निज सर्वशक्ति तत्रार्पित. The many names of the deity represent his various aspects which can be realized through japa. The practice of using a multiplicity of names for the same God comes down from the Vedic times. When we study the life of a Christ, a Chaitanya, or a Ramakrishna, we find that to all of them, God was the highest reality. The divine was the central object in their lives, and everything else was subordinate to it. You may take up any symbol and any kind of relationship with God. You may look upon him as your father, mother, child, friend, or lover, but always make him your nearest and dearest. The intensity of love is expressed in the following well-known stanza is most important. O Supreme Lord, thou art my mother and father and mother. Thou art my relative and friend. Thou art my knowledge and wealth. Thou art my all in all. Many people will be familiar with this particular verse. This is from the Prapanna Gita, verse number 28. Tvameva mata cha pita tvameva Tvameva bandhushcha sakha tvameva Tvameva vidya dravinam tvameva Tvameva sarvam mama deva deva. Spiritual progress through worship. There are people who renounce rituals before they are sufficiently developed spiritually. This is very wrong, just as renouncing image worship before having outgrown it is wrong. Never decry people who worship images. There is a great truth in image worship, and the Protestants are quite wrong in denying it. They do not know anything of spiritual traditions and spiritual life. There is not only subjective but also objective manifestation in a holy image. This idea is at the back of the Roman Catholic forms of image worship, even though these have become distorted in the hands of theologians in the course of centuries. For most of us, worship of some image, physical or mental, is absolutely necessary if you really wish to grow and not merely to theorize. But if you find that all our life we remain worshipping only images, there is something seriously wrong. We should always see whether as a result of our sadhana we are making spiritual progress or not. External worship may be useful to us in the beginning. Some people are great ritualists and derive great joy in it, but we should not spend all our life just doing external worship. External worship should lead us to internal worship sooner or later. We should not be like the musk deer. It has musk in its own navel, but runs about just to find the source of the sweet fragrance, and then it finally falls down dead. Similarly, the God we seek dwells eternally in our hearts, but we want to find him outside. We are always creating our own God or gods. We try to create an image of God Mahadeva, and it turns out to be an ugly monkey. If we do not know the right idea and also how to apply it to life, everything becomes an ugly monkey. That is the danger. For one who attains to salvation, worship of an image is a hindrance and brings about rebirth. Therefore, the man of renunciation should worship the God who dwells in his own heart. He should give up all external worship. So this is from the Maitreyi Upanishad, Mantra 2.26. This mantra is meant for advanced spiritual aspirants. It does not mean that everyone should give up worshipping images and straightaway begin with meditation on the formless. The most important point is to seek the divine in one's own soul, in the depth of one's own heart. Spiritual life is just like a staircase. We must proceed step by step. We must first find out where we are, otherwise progress is not possible. We may begin with external worship, going to temples, etc., but we should become more and more introspective and seek the divine in his real abode in our souls. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om.